ביאור משנה ג' explanation for משנה ג' בשר שנמצא בעזרה. You find meat in the azara. Well, Kohanim doing the job, you doing the job. Shlamim, yeah, somebody left it. Yeah, whatever, exactly. It doesn't have to be the Kohen. It could also be the guy. Shlamim. Peace offering. The peace offering the guy takes home.
I see.
Yeah, you can. I don't know. It's peace offering. It's ola. It's what? I don't know what it is. You find meat, and you find meat over there. So what are you going to do with this? Where does it go to? Where does this meat go to? So let's see. בשר שנמצא בעזרה. If flesh was found in the azara. איברים. So it's easy. If you find it butchered, you know those limbs. אם הבשר מנותח לאיברים, if the meat is butchered up to limbs, כדרך שמנתחין קורבה עולה, just like you would separate a burnt offering לפני הבאתו למזבח, before it is brought out to the מזבח, עולות. Then it's for sure you know it's an עולה, because an עולה you wouldn't leave for the coin anything. So it will be, you see, those are the parts, I know what, this is an עולה. בידוע שבשר זה של עולות הוא. I know for sure this is go to a burnt offering. וחתיכות. But, so איברים means the entire limbs. It wasn't chopped up. Not like I said, not butchered. Like the entire, legs here, heads there, the entire thing, not cut up. You didn't take the fat out, you didn't take any... וחתיכות. ואם הבשר שנמצא בעזרה מחותך לחתיכות כדרך שחותכים לאכילה, and if it is chopped out in a way that it's befitting to be eaten, then is chatot. Then it means it's a sin offering. חזקתו בשר של חטות או של השמות. You can assume that this meat is a sin offering or a guilt offering. שקורבנות אלו בלבד נאכלים לכהנים בעזרה. Because it means, this was prepared for the Kohen to eat. This is the Kohen's portion. He needs to eat it. So that you need to eat it. ולכן נחתכו שמה. So this is how would you know it's עולה or sin offering or guilt offering. If it's butchered small, it's for the Kohen. If it's or the whole limbs, it's for the עולה. Okay. That's what you do in the Azara. What happens in Yerushalayim? בירושלים, in ירושלים, בשר הנמצא בירושלים מחוץ לעזרה, you find a piece of meat in Yerushalayim, out of the Azara. First of all, it's not like today. I mean, it is like today in Israel, but it's not like today in the market. Majority of Jews, the majority of people keep kosher. So first of all, I know for sure it's kosher. Don't have a problem with that, right? So that, by the way, you only need majority. People don't know that. You don't need more than that. Even if you have 49% Muslims, 51% Jews in the town, makes any piece of meat kosher. Yeah. בירושלים, בשר הנמצא בירושלים מחוץ לעזרה, flesh that is found in ירושלים, outside of the courtyard, זבחי שלמים. בשר של זבחי שלמים הוא. This is flesh of peace offering. In other words, you have to treat it. נאכלים בכל העיר בירושלים. You can eat it any place in ירושלים. Why? Not allowed to take it out of Yerushalayim. Again, why? Because the majority of meat that was found in Yerushalayim, the majority of meat is peace offering. So you'd say, why? Maybe I would just buy meat for my house in Yerushalayim. It says it wasn't worth it. People would rather do a mitzvah with it. Since the Mizbeach doesn't take that much, and gets the fats. What does it get, the Mizbeach? The fat you don't eat anyway. The Kohen gets the head and a little bit or more. Give it to him. At least I can do a mitzvah with it. So most of the people that any time throughout the year ate meat in Yerushalayim, usually it was a peace offering meat. That was the majority of the meat that was eaten throughout the year. שרוב הבשר הנאכל בירושלים, because the majority of the meat that was ate in Yerushalayim, של שלמים הוא. Like I said, this is what, it didn't need to be shlamim, but because it was Yerushalayim, people had anyway extra money, like they had to spend it anyway. So usually they would give it, let the Kohen be happy, let God be happy, let everybody be happy, and we're going to be happy also. זה וזה, what happens if you find it בין בשר הנמצא בעזרה ובין הנמצא בירושלים. It says whether you're talking about the flesh that was found in the Azara and whether they found the thing that you find in Yerushalayim. So it says, what do you do with it? He's going to explain. תעובר צורתו ויצא לבית השרפה. You're not allowed to eat it, and it has to went out to get burnt. So he's going to explain. I don't understand. I thought it says that חזקתו בשר של. When in the beginning I thought that you were allowed to eat it, as in Yerushalayim, but over here it says something else. Let's see. כלומר, אסור לאכול את הבשר. You're not allowed to eat this meat. Why? It said theoretically you're right. Theoretically, you know for sure this is an olah and this is a shlomim. I know for sure. I don't have a problem to know which kind of offering it is. I know for sure it's an olah sacrifice. I know for sure this is a shlamim sacrifice. I don't have a problem. So it says, but you're not allowed to eat it.
Why?
So it says, why not? לפי שנפסל מחמת היסח הדעת. There's a kind of, it becomes nullified because your mind wasn't on it. In other words, on the sacrifice, your mind needs to keep it constantly in your head. Which means, אבל אסור לשרפו, but you're not allowed to burn it, עד שיפסל בוודאי, until it becomes really not befitting to be eaten. So in other words, there's a, call it a technicality with sacrifices. Technicality in sacrifices, it means it's like it needs to be in your mind. If it goes out of your mind, it stops being you're not allowed to eat it anymore. It's out a sacrifice. It's not considered a sacrifice. It's considered a blemish in the sacrifice. So over here, since somebody lost it, it's out of his mind, even though that you saw it, but for a while it was out of somebody's mind, therefore it's no good. But on the other hand, if it's not good, you're still not allowed to burn it, because you're not allowed to burn it because it's a sacrifice. You need to ingest it, to elevate it. So you're not allowed to. So what do you do? In one side you're not allowed to eat it, inside other one you're not allowed to burn it. So what do you do? הילקח מניחים אותו עד שתועבר צורתו. So you placed it until it becomes rotten. Until it becomes rotten. Then, היינו שיפסל משום נותר. Or not rotten. And in other words, you wait 24 hours or 48 hours, it depends on what kind of sacrifice, until it's the time for the sacrifices are over, and then you know, okay, now I can burn it. ובזה יש הבדל בין בשר שנמצא בעזרה לבשר שנמצא בירושלים. And now we're going to have a difference between meat that you find in the courtyard and meat that you find in ירושלים. שבשר הנמצא בעזרה, that meat that you find in the courtyard, של חטאת או של אשם הוא. You know it's a sin offering or a guilt offering, because it's for the Kohen. שזמן אכילתו יום ולילה. And the time to eat it is day and night. ונמצא, so if you find it in the courtyard, למחר מותר לשרפו. The next day, you're allowed to burn it. ואילו בשר הנמצא בירושלים, and any meat that you find in ירושלים, של שלמים הוא, הנאכלים 2 ימים ולילה אחת. Now it's for 2 days and 1 night. ואין ידבור צורתו אלא ביום השלישי. So you're only allowed to burn it on the 3rd day. So everything that you find in the Azara, you have to wait for the next day. Everything you find in Yerushalayim, you have to wait 3 days. Even though you know what they are. You know it's shlamim. You're still not allowed to eat it.
Because of the thinking.
Yeah. ויש מפרשים, there are those who explains, שאי אפשר לאכול את הבשר. It says the reason why you're not allowed to eat the meat, שמא הוא נותר. It says, they come with a different thing. You know why the meat is over there? Because it was notar. The guy didn't, there was a meal over here, they were trying to eat it before the end of the time, and they didn't succeed, so they just left the meat over there and they left. And now you're eating notar, that's why you're not allowed to eat it. Different reason. ואסור לשרפו, שם הוא עדיין כשר לאכילה. And you're not allowed to burn it, because maybe it's still befitting to be eaten. Because you don't know, it's a safek. אלא תעובר צורתו. So therefore you have to wait for the 3 days in ירושלים and so on. היינו שמניחים אותו עד שיהיה נותר ודאי ושורפים אותו, כמו שבאנו לעיל. So you leave it there until 3 days, and then you burn it. והרמב"ם כותב, the Rambam writes, אם כן, מה הועיל שתהיה חזקתו עולה או חטאת או שלמים? So he has the problem that I had in the beginning. So why are you telling me what it is? עולה, חטאת, שלמים, what do I care? I can't eat it anyway. למי שעבר ואכל. So it says, you need to know it if somebody ate it by mistake. שאם ישראל אכל בשר שנמצא בירושלים, that if a Jew ate any flesh that was found in ירושלים, או כהן אכל בשר שנמצא בזערה מחוטאת חתיכות, אינו חייב כלום. So it says, it means he's not obligated there's no kashrus problem, there's no sin offering problem. He did, it's okay. A Kohen ate it, not the end of the world. He shouldn't have ate because it was blemished, but he doesn't need to bring a sin offering maybe or whatever, doesn't apply to it. That's right. There's no penalty for such a thing. נמצא בגבולין, so we find that in outside of ירושלים, I think it means בגבולים, בשר שנמצא בערי ישראל חוץ לירושלים, flesh that was found in the cities of Israel outside of ירושלים, איברים, אם הבשר מחותך לאיברים, if it's cut to just two limbs, means big limbs, legs, torso, head, then you would assume it's nevelot. You would assume that this meat is a nevela, it's a non-kosher animal. Why? חוששים שמא בשר נבלות הוא. You're going to be worried that this flesh is actually non-kosher, not kosher. Why? שכן דרך לחתוך נבלות, because that was the butchers used to do, to chop up the נבלות, ולהשליחן לכלבים, and to throw them to the dogs. But they didn't want to make it into small parts. It gave him the whole parts. Here, take, this is a nevela anyway. חתיכות, but if the butcher took the time to chop them up to nice steaks, אם הבשר חתוך לחתיכות קטנות, if it's nice steaks, מותרות הן. They are allowed. Again, majority of the town has to be Jews. Yeah, the Jewish towns. שאין אדם טורח לחתוך לחתיכות, because they're not American dogs. This is Israeli dogs in the old time. People didn't used to bake it and make it for them nice on the grill. They gave them the whole piece. Nobody had time for dogs in that time. שאין אדם טורח לחתוך לחתיכות, because people did not make it nice for their dogs. אלא בשר הראוי לאכילה. Only meat that was feeding to a human being, they would cut it nicely. Not meat that you give to the dogs. ודין זה אינו אלא בעיר, I was wrong. ודין זה אינו אלא בעיר שכולה ישראל. It's not majority Jews. This is a din in a city that all of it are Jews. אבל בעיר שיש בה נוכרים, but in a city that there is non-Jews in it, אפילו חתיכות אסורות. Even pieces are going to be forbidden. You don't go after the majority, it looks like. ובשעת הרגל שהבשר מרובה, and in the time of the holiday that you have a lot of meat, אין חותכים אותו לחתיכות קטנות, אלא מבשלים אותו איברים. So usually in a regular day, when you and your wife eat a steak, you know, how would you eat it? You would eat small pieces. But when you come to Yerushalayim, you will not make people will not cut their steaks into small pieces. You know why? Because the entire family is there, hundreds of people. So you would cook the whole sheep. So over there, in the regel, if you find whole pieces, af everin meturin, even if the big pieces, they're also permitted. You're not going to assume that the nevela, because you assume, look, it's cooking for a million people over there. Therefore, in the regel, even the big pieces, yeah,
it's like
you make big, exactly. אפילו מצא איברים מותרים הם. Even if you find איברים, they are permitted.